Sean Strickland discusses his thoughts on Alex Pereira and Magomed Anon's rematch. Sean is among the few fighters who has practiced and fought alongside both, and the way is obvious if Alex wants to win that rematch. Strickland said, "It's time to put an end to the globe tours, shut out the outside world and resume intense, concentrated training." It was not sugar-coated by Strickland. If Pereira sharpens his skills in the gym rather than on red carpets or during international media appearances, he has all the tools he needs to defeat Uncle Alive in his opinion. And honestly, given how fiercely contested their first battle was, that evaluation is significant. Regardless of the outcome, Pereira's takedown defense was outstanding in that bout, stifling Ankali's every move. Many were surprised by that alone. It comes down to a psychological factor rather than a technical one. Pereira simply lacked his typical knack for murder. Instead of seizing the initiative, he fought most of the bout walking backwards, waiting for the ideal shot. Ankalaev had the advantage because of that hesitation. That doesn't detract from Ankalaev's methodical and successful strategy, though, which defeated Pereira in 5 rounds. Now that a rematch is imminent, the plot is obvious. Will the distractions of celebrity weaken Pereira's hand against one of the most difficult puzzles at light heavyweight, or will he emerge as the focused assassin who defeated Adesanya and Prohaska?
Ankalaev is just so fucking good. I think a couple things. I think Alex has a great chance of beating him in the rematch. I think Alex goes too hard. I mean, how many title defenses did he have? Going up and down weight classes. Or Ankalaev rides the bench for a certain amount of time. Being that active and not only that, being a superstar. No one knows what the fuck Ankalaev is. Ankalaev walks down the street, no one knows who the fuck that guy is. Alex is a superstar. He can't leave his house without someone saying, "Oh shit, there's Alex, should we take a picture?" It kind of takes a toll on the mind. Where, you take Ankalaev, who just lives in a fucking cave somewhere. I don't even know where the fuck that guy's from, but dude, he probably lives in a fucking cave somewhere and just, he doesn't have to deal with the same pressures of being famous as you do in the US. So I think Alex, if he just takes a step back, clears his brain, comes in fresh, stop traveling all over the fucking world, I think he has a legitimate shot of beating him.
Shah Sonnen mentioned a possible super fight between Islam Makhachev and Shavkat Rakhmonov, which hasn't received much attention from fans, and this one has the potential to be huge if Islam defeats Jack Della. To begin with, the stakes are extremely high. On the whole UFC roster, you're dealing with 2 of the most formidable, calculating and well-rounded athletes. Shavkat's accuracy, poise and pressure-heavy technique contrast with Islam's struggling control and unrelenting tempo. It would be a huge battle. Dagestan already views Islam as a national hero, and Shavkat has Kazakhstan's support like a tidal wave throughout the Caucasus. Beyond that, however, both are highly regarded in Central Asia and Russia. The entire area would be watching what might be the largest all-Eurasian bout in UFC history. And then there's the story. It's legacy-level stuff. If Islam advances and defeats a murderer like JDM before facing an unbeaten welterweight monster like Shavkat, this clash is more than just a fantasy. The storm is ideal. One possible headliner is the result of a convergence of abilities, plots, and enormous fan bases.
Islam versus Rakhmonov is one of the more interesting fights you could make. Are you ready for that? I really mean that. In the entire UFC, it's not number 1, but it's one of them. Islam versus Rakhmonov. That is one of the most compelling fights, not just for outcome, not just because of records, not just because of what would be on the line, actual stylistic. The crowd would wonder, who can hit who more? Who can kick the other one more? Who can shoot more on the other one? Who can hold up and have his energy? There is no part of that we would have the answers to. We would question and wonder every single position of that fight. It would just be very fun. But if you do Shavkat versus Blal, now all of a sudden you find yourself in a 50% chance that you can't bring Rakhmonov out of that. And if you do bring Blal out of that, and we've already understood Blal and Islam is not going to happen, I think that you find yourself in a real spot.
Josh Thompson, Islam's longtime teammate and podcast presenter, just made a mistake that has people talking. Josh recently disclosed confidential correspondence from Khabib Nurmagomedov, in which the Eagle voiced his displeasure with Islam Makhachev's decision to switch to welterweight in order to take on Jack Della Maddalena. Yes, exactly. Although the majority of the MMA community believes that Islam can easily win this battle, Team Khabib isn't totally sure. It tracks too, to be honest. Khabib never made that leap, even though he was a lightweight champion and frequently discussed moving up to 170 with his father. It goes without saying that his retirement came after his father's untimely death, but it's also no secret that Team Khabib wasn't exactly keen to chase that smoke when Kamaru Usman was the welterweight champion. Things are different now. Everything changes when a slick striker takes the throne at 170 instead of a powerful wrestler. Only now, when the top dog is a stand-up specialist, is Islam's team moving up after years of wrestling heavy champs at welterweight. Therefore, don't be misled. Even though Islam could be capable of completing it, fans may not realize how cautious Team Khabib is watching this one.
Oh, at 34 years old, though, like, he understands that the time is coming, you know, and I think that he's somebody that also doesn't want to take a bad loss and be like, all right, look, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to just be able to kind of go out on his terms. I think if he loses, and plus he's only got one loss, you know, but bottom line is he has the one loss, and I think if he can get past JDM, I was texting with Khabib yesterday, and he goes, this is going to be his toughest fight he's ever had, for sure. And I said, yeah. He goes, you know, JDM is explosive. He's good. Like, he's good on the feet. His takedown defense is not great, but his ability to get back up is phenomenal.
And he's big.
Yeah, and he's physically a big body. And Khabib was kind of just reiterating the fact that, like, look, I see him train with guys that are better than JDM, or feels that he's better than JDM, especially in the wrestling department. And Islam does just fine when he's not depleted. And I agree with that. You know, I've seen, you know, Islam go with guys that are 205 and just manhandle.
Merab Develi explained his expectations for a rematch with Sean Ali at UFC 316. Merab claims that Sean's offensive strategy is the main change he anticipates. Ali was on the defensive for too long in their initial altercation, responding rather than taking the initiative. Merab was able to control the tempo, impose clinches and pile up takedowns as a result. However, the champion thinks Sean won't repeat his error. In the rematch, he anticipates a more combative Sugar. Someone who intends to capture the center early releases his grip, preventing Merab from applying pressure that would suffocate him. Nevertheless, the champion seems certain that Ali's unrelenting technique will eventually overtake him once more.
I think the first time he was waiting for me too much, and I was measuring distance good, and every time we get close, I was able to take him down. Now I think he will attack more. Like, I think he has a success fifth round, like he touched my body, you know, like he got me one body kick, front kick, and maybe he will try more that, and I'm sure his cardio, he's like, you know, like first time when we fought, he make mistakes, and I was better with him. Now he will make adjustments, and he will fix that.